If you didn't watch the Game of the Year award, there's quite a high chance that you might have missed something interesting that unfortunately got buried amongst both party crashers and larger titles. And if you did see it and didn't take notice, I wouldn't blame you, considering that the company behind it didn't exactly garner goodwill with the previous installment with the same name. I'm talking of course about The Lords of the Fallen. For those of you that might not have heard about the original game, The Lords of the Fallen was a Dark Souls inspired game that had a lot of potential and promised a lot of things, but sadly failed to live up to their hype. The game suffered from various bugs, clunky combat, bad graphics, and was a far cry from what was initially promised. After at least 2 years, several patches and bug fixes, the game has apparently become much better, but it was too late for the audience that in large but rather burned, which ultimately became a death sentence for the IP, or so we thought. After watching the trailer several times, I can honestly say that it looks like the studio behind it has learned from their previous mistakes. Not only does it actually look good this time, but chances are that it has been in production for quite some time and that the team behind it has spent a lot of time on polishing things that they might have forgotten to do last time. The game has some rather interesting visuals and has what looks to be great enemy and boss design, and if the game is even half as good as the trailer makes it out to be, I will buy it in a heartbeat. It also seemed to have a hint of Demon Souls to it, but not like a blatant copy, but more like a trace of what seems to be genuine inspiration. It feels more like they have added a bit of the spice that made Demon Souls good, which isn't a bad thing. There seems to be quite a lot of horror elements, which is something that I really like. What's even better is that it looks like the studio has managed to pull off the blending of the two genres pretty well, and the environment looks surprisingly good and seems to have a rich atmosphere. I also think that they have made some rather good design choices when it comes to what seems to be the main character of the game. I suspect that we will play as a silent protagonist that doesn't say anything and leaves all the choices to us, which isn't a bad thing, as it can leave for a lot of freedom and, more importantly, freedom of exploration. Despite the history of the previous game, I think there is quite a high chance that the studio behind it will be able to deliver an awesome game that has the potential to contend with the heavyweights of the genre, as long as they have learned from the mistakes and actually give the game the time it needs. So, what do you think? Did you play the original and liked it? And do you believe that the sequel will be better than its predecessor? Tell me in the comments down below.